everybody, my name is the Reading Tortie and welcome back to my channel. Today I will actually be doing my very first book haul, which is going to be bigger than I thought my first book haul would be since July just happened to be a pretty good literary month. Hung out with a couple people I hadn't seen in a while, so we took a tour of Austin bookstores, so there was a lot of book shopping, a whole lot of money spending, and I'm broke, but the books are all good, and that's what matters. As you can also notice, my hair is a little messier today than it usually is. I don't know if anybody can tell, I have rather long hair. So sometimes it doesn't really cooperate, and instead of hacking it off in frustration, I just put it up in a bun, and I don't use elastic, so I just have like 5 clips holding it together. Actually, there's 3, but you guys get what I'm saying. So, I went to multiple bookstores on my July book binge. So, I went to Book People and Malvern's, so I'm going to save those 2 bookstores for last. And the first ones that I bought, I will be discussing about, were from Half Price Books on Lamar, which is one of the best Half Price books in town, honestly. And my friend that I took, she loved it. It was great. I think we spent like 3 hours there, got caught in the rain. Completely romantic, completely fantastic. We loved it. But I have a ton of books. So I have some on this table right here, and then I have some on a table over there, and then I have some more on another chair somewhere over there too. So, on to the first book. The first book that I want to talk about that I bought is The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. Also, heads up, I will probably butcher everybody's name. I'm so sorry to all of the authors. I'm just terrible about that. But The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. It was actually shelved in the horror section. It's a little chunkier than most books that I purchase. I don't know why I don't purchase very chunky books, probably because the length intimidates me. But the font's pretty small too, and I like the paperback. And it was actually my friend who told me about it, and she says, oh, they compare it to Dracula and stuff like that, so you probably will like it. So upon her recommendation, I'm like, you know what? Why not? It looks like a good book, and it's really good. It feels really nice in your hands. So The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. The other books I got are this little one called The Island of Dr. Moreau and Other Stories by H.G. Wells. The cover caught my attention because it looks creepy, and I'm all about creepy, quirky stories, as you're going to see with the books from Malvern's. Those are a trip. Awesome stuff, but they're trippy. So the cover caught my attention, and I'm like, that's the cover? I need to buy it. Especially when it says a youthful exercise in blasphemy. My goodness, do you need another reason to buy a book? So I'm looking forward to this one, and it's short, so it's not going to take me forever in 10 days. Another one is Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress. I was a little hesitant because it's hardback, and I'm a more of a paperback kind of gal, but I'm really into Oriental culture. So like all the Asias and the Middle East, so I'm all about world literature. So I saw this. The shoes look very haunting to me, and just the title is very haunting. And this is by Dai C.G. I'm sorry, the Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress. But the cover really caught my attention. So I'm like, you know what? It's okay that it's hardback. I will look past it because it looks really cool. And one of the reasons that I like used books, it actually has someone's personal information and address, which I will not share. But there's that little gush, that little present for us when we open it. So it has the history of whoever owned this book in here, and I really like it. So I have a connection with a stranger that they don't know about, so it sounds kind of creepy. But this book, I'm excited for it. I probably won't pick it up immediately, but it's a fairly short read, so I might pick it up between longer books if I need a bit of a break. So the next one is Peter Carey's Bliss. The cover really caught my attention. I'm just like, it looks like bad stuff's going on. It looks like someone's suffering and more badness, and I'm just like, yep, all over this. Tortie, all over this. I'm a sick person if you guys can't figure it out. But this book, just looked at it and I'm like, has my name written all over it. Especially when the blurb starts, Harry Joy was to die 3 times. That sounds terrible. But I want to hear Harry's story, and I want to know why he died 3 times, and how awful every single time was. Because I'm a terrible person. So this book, I'm really excited about it. And it feels really cool. I don't know why, but I really like the feeling of this book. This next one, I don't know why I got it. But I got it, and I'm just like, it looks really weird. The Caseworker by George Conrad. Introduction by Irving Howe. So really unassuming, itty bitty little book. And I see it, and because I'm a weirdo, I'm like, I expect this guy to be a serial killer. And I'll be a little disappointed if he's not. And you know what? Odds are he's really not. He's probably just an average Joe worker. But I picked this up with the expectation that he is going to be a sick individual and be a serial killer. And I'll let you guys know how that happens. It's a short read, so don't know when I'll read it. I mean, the font's not that bad, so when I figure out if this guy's really a serial killer, spoilers, he's probably not, I will let everybody know. I'm also a complete historical buff. So, Sparta's Kings. I love Sparta, ancient Greece, the ancient world. I'm all over it. So, Sparta's Kings, actually hardback, and I'm like, I don't even care. I like it. Just Sparta's Kings, John Carr. And that's about all there is need to be said about this book. Really excited. Piece of nonfiction. Has some pretty cool illustrations. So, probably going to be in my reference section. Geisha of Gion by Minako Iwasaki. As I said earlier, I'm really fascinated with the Asian cultures all over Asia. And this is the true story of Japan's foremost geisha. And she's one of the, if I read this correctly, she is one of the few that have spoken out about the geisha lifestyle. So this is like a nonfiction piece. And I'm really interested to hear her story. Because geisha life is probably always romanticized. I'm not sure what everybody thinks, but that's just me. So I'm really excited for Miss Minako's life story, and it has really cool pictures, which I will flip to. And I can't wait to really read it, and I'll let you guys know how it is. And I like how small it is and weathered, because I'm a weirdo. The Castle of Otranto. The title caught my attention, as well as the depressing candles on it. Oh, sorry, by Horace Walpole. I'm forgetting the author's names, but The Castle of Otranto. So I was really interested in it, so I picked it up, and it's a cute little book. And then I read the blurb, when a young prince tragically dies on the morning of his wedding day. Yep, I grabbed it and like, yeah, this needs to be in my life. And of course, my girlfriend is the one that actually went through all of my books just to see what books I was getting, and she says, you know what, Torty, you're a morbid person. I'm like, you know, I am. But these books just sound so good. It's like they're written for me. So I'm not sure what to expect of this book, but I really like the feeling of it, and I really like the cover and the fonts and everything, so I'm excited about this little book. A Case of Curiosities, a novel by Alan Kurzweil. The cover caught my attention because it looks really weird and psychotic, and I expect terrible things to go down, simply based on this cover, which could just be me, but to me this cover is just screaming bad stuff's about to happen. In the course of a career filled with violence and passion. Yep, need I say more. So this book, it's a little bigger than the other ones that I've showed. The font's a little smaller, but I'm really excited with the way it feels. So I anticipate it's going to be cool. And this just gets darker and darker, everyone. The Bloodletter's Daughter, a historical fiction set in 1606. Historical fiction, I'm there. Dark, morbid historical fiction, I am like doubly there. So this book, and how chunky it is, and how lovely it feels, and just the illustrations, they're lovely. I am all over this. The Bloodletter's Daughter. Don't know what it's about. It's set in 1606 in Prague. That's all I need to know. So when I read this, I will let you guys know. This one is a little interesting. This is called Victor, a novel based on the life of the savage Avron by Mordecai Gerstein. The cover was really interesting. It looked bad, so I'm like, all right, let's see what badness is going on. And it's set in the French Revolution, so I'm like, hey, that's a little late. I usually like everything 1600 and earlier. But it's about the life of someone who has been completely isolated from human interaction. And that sounds really cool. in a really bad way. Hopefully this is bad stuff. This is not good. But it sounds really interesting to read about a character that has had no human interaction and see how they develop. So that's why I picked this book up. And I actually like and appreciate the fact that this book is in hardcover. I think it's right that this book is in hardcover, as weird as that sounds. So looking forward to this one. The next book is All the Sad Young Literary Men. That's all there is about this. That's honestly it. The blurb, the engaging and hilarious story of 3 young men and their circuitous paths through sex, love, betrayal, and the writing of books. This book has my girlfriend written all over it. She was the one that saw it, and she says, Torty, you have to get this. And I'm like, oh, because you say so. And this is a book she would totally read. So that's why I got it. I'm kind of looking forward to it. We'll see. So the next book is Great Russian Short Stories. I'm all about world lit, so I love picking up especially short story collections because you get such a diverse taste of the writing culture in the country, dependent, of course, on when the book was published. So I don't really have a whole lot of Russian lit in my collection, oddly enough. So when I saw this collection of short stories, I'm like, hey, I get to see multiple people's perspectives on what is going on in Russia at the time and what they value. And another little present when you open the book, you get a little note that was stuck in here that I just noticed right before I started recording. For Rebecca, if she would like it. C. I don't know, sir, if Rebecca liked it. Madam, C, whoever you are. But I'm sure I'm going to like it. And that was so pleasant. When I opened this and I saw it, I'm like, I'm going to appreciate this. And I hope Rebecca did too. So, just history of the book, you know? It makes it. Then we got this impressive behemoth of a book. And I'm like, this is hefty. This feels like a big deal. And I like it because it looks old and weathered. Then I open it and it says, Gift from Dad in 1981. This was a gift from someone's dad. It's like, well, Dad, I don't know if the person that you gave it to appreciated it, but I will. And the font's pretty cool. So I think this is like a collection of his works. Actually, it says right here, 65 short stories. So more short stories by W. Somerset Maugham. Probably cannot say his name to save my life, but really cool. I liked it. Good, intimidating looking book. And the last one from Half Price that I want to talk about, probably the one that I'm most excited for, Dream Boy by Jim Grimsley, author of Winter Birds and My Drowning. Sounds morbid, but I'm like, it sounds so good. And this book is a stunning and heartbreaking novel that recounts the story of a painful first love between 2 adolescent boys. And I was sold. I'm like, well, don't know what else it's about, but I'm buying it. I'm reading it. And after Call Me By Your Name, I need that coming of age fix again. So really, really, really excited for this one. And I love the way it feels and the way it smells, and it's just all lovely. So I'm excited for this book. So this is my Half Price book haul completion. Now we move on to Malverns and Book People. So give me like 5 seconds and I'll be right back. And we are back. So after some shuffling around and tripping over myself and almost falling on my face, now moving on to the other books. Wanted to showcase this nifty little bag that I got at Malverns when I purchased all my books. And I'm unbagging them on camera. So if you hear them, that's the bag. Cool. All right. So I shop at Malverns quite a bit. So the first 2 books that I'm going to talk about I actually purchased in June. But they are the first reading pairing that I have. Every month I go to Malverns and I have 2 staff. One of them is my friend, another one's a girl that knows poetry better than the back of her hand. And I have them pick out a fiction book and a poetry book. So June's reading pairing was Valerie and Her Week of Wonders by Vitislav Nesval. I'm sorry. That's all. But Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. And just to drive home that I like really bizarre lit. This book talks about a vampire coming of age, and it says that it's a hybrid of the Marquise de Sade's Justine, Nosferatu, and The Monk, which, if anybody knows these books, they're a little weird. And I'm like, dang, I'm all over this. My friend knows me so well. It's absurd. But I saw this, I'm like, what an unassuming, beautiful cover. And it feels great. And it smells great. I'm a book smeller, in case you haven't noticed. It's creepy. I'm sorry if you think it's creepy. But this book, like, I cannot wait to just dive into this. And the pairing that they gave me was Crow with No Mouth by Ikkyu, a 15th century Zen master. And I immediately fell in love with this guy because he was a monk for all of like 15 days. Then he says, why am I depriving myself? I only have one life. So this guy goes to live in the brothels for the rest of his existence from 1394 to 1481. Because he's like, yeah, 14 days as a monk, not working for me. And I'm like, this just sounds radical. So I'm like, I need this. So this is the book pairing for June. I will come up to the book pairing for July here in a bit. I had to talk about these. Shift some books around my little table. I have a little table here that's like a champ. It's it's a little, it's probably not meant to hold this much weight, but it's holding out great and I appreciate it. So first book I'm going to talk about is Dark Acre by Greg Hewitt. And it's a collection of poems that the title attracted me. And it just looks cool. And it's broken up into a couple different pieces. The Yam complex between time and history. What is that? But it sounds cool. So I got it for $5 at Malvern's. Deals, guys, every day. So half price rocks, and that's why I came out like a bank robber. So I was really conflicted about which ones to buy. It was between this one and like 5 other books. So there's Torty being that customer and having like a spread of 6 books, and which one should I get? In the end, I got this one because it kept popping out at me, and it kept just, when I was walking around the store, it kept just coming into my head thinking, what are you about? What are you about? So, Things in the Night by Matti Unt. And explores a world on the edge of disaster, plagued by mysterious power outages. Yep. Edge of disaster, mysteriousness, ominous conspiracies. Sounds really cool. Right up my alley. The title and the book look ominous, and the cover is great, and it feels great. All these books feel great, by the way. So it feels great, and I'm just like, yeah, let's do this. And then at the end, it has other books that they've published. Dalkey Archive. I'm pretty sure I misspelled that too, but mispronounced it. But yeah, so this book, really cool. It kept coming into my head, and I had to purchase it. And that's the book pairing. Okay. This book I actually bought with my girlfriend. She picked it up, and then I, of course, went through her book stash. And I saw this, and it says, I yearned for a bad influence, and boy, was Tennessee one in the best sense of the word. Joyous, alarming, sexually confusing, and dangerously funny. John Waters. Sold it. The book's cute. Looks awesome. The font's cool. The paper's cool. All over this. So, Tales of Desire by Tennessee Williams. Not sure what it's about. Aside from it's probably about debauchery and bad stuff. But it's going to be a great ride, I'm sure. So I'm excited. And it's little, so I can just pick this up and go through it, and it's going to be great. The pair reading for Malvern's for the month of July is a whammy. So, Spring Essence, the poetry of Ho Huan Huang, translated by John Balaban. So this is written by an 18th century concubine who wrote subtly risque poems as a vehicle for social, religious, and political commentary. Yes, all over. Vietnamese. Yeah, totally cool. And it's actually written in 3 languages. I'm assuming this is Vietnamese. If I'm incorrect, please tell me. And then it's written in the romanization of it, and then in English. So I'm really excited to really look at it because it's also artistic simply because of the calligraphy. So I thought it was really cool, and I trust the girl that recommended this to me because I'm sure she knows what she's talking about. And a concubine commenting on all of this other crazy stuff going on in the 18th century, I want to hear about it, period. And it's paired with this weird, morbid little gem of a book, The Trumpets of Jericho by Unica Zern. And this book, really small, really unassuming, is a flippin' whammy. This fierce fable of childbirth was written after she had already given birth to 2 children and undergone the self-induced abortion of another in Berlin in the 1950s. My goodness. Talks about a parasitic son in her belly. Just this book. It looks like it's nothing. It looks like it's so teeny. Like, what could possibly be in this little book that looks so clean and sweet? It's not. It's really disturbing, and I cannot wait for this sick, miserable ride. Because I'm a terrible person, and I like morbid stuff. So, Trumpets of Jericho, I will definitely let you know how this goes. I'm really excited. Book pairing for July at Malvern Books. Moving on to book purchases, because we're still going. Sorry, it's a long video. So first of all, let's talk about this book, which was on sale. The King Must Die. Ominous. I'm like, hey, what's this about? And it is set ancient Greece. Ancient Greece. So by Mary Renault. Apparently she's one of the forefront historical fiction writers. So I'm like, hey, it sounds cool. Set in ancient Greece. I'm all about the ancient world. It's my jam. It's my bread and butter, my soul, everything. You got morbid ancient. It's brilliant. So, The King Must Die. I saw it. It was on sale. I had to pick it up. Not to mention it feels really cool. So I'll let you guys know how this one goes. The Clay Girl by Heather Tucker. I was talking to my girlfriend at the bookstore, and then I saw this cover out of the corner of my eye. And after meandering around people, because, you know, it's a bookstore and people are actually book shopping, and I'm just there trying to inconvenience everyone because I'm like that, and I'm like, I'm sorry, excuse me, and sneaking around people because this cover spoke to me. I'm like, I don't know what this is about. So, open it. The first sentence of the blurb, everyone. Vincent Appleton smiles at his daughters, raises a gun, and blows off his head. What a hell of a first sentence on the blurb. I'm like, well, not sure what it's about, but it has a cool seahorse on it. It caught my eye immediately, and it kept just talking to me. And after that first sentence, I'm like, I need to know what happens. So The Clay Girl, a novel by Heather Tucker. I'll let you know how it goes. And it feels really cool. All of these books feel cool. This one was picked out by my girlfriend. She saw it because I told her that in my soul, I am an octopus or a squid. I like octopuses and sea creatures and stuff. So, in my soul, I am a weird octopus. And so she saw this and she says, Torty, your soul. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is cool. So I look it up, and it's a nonfiction book, and it has like little octopuses on the side of it. So it's really cool. But it's a nonfiction book, and it's about the interaction between animals and humans. And I think that if it's done really well, which I think it will be because of the National Book Award finalist sticker here, I'm really intrigued because I think that animals and humans have a really, really deep connection that some people overlook or they oversimplify. And this explores the interactions of not only the animals amongst each other, but with the humans. And it talks about a development of love between all of them. And it just really puts the animals onto a more sentient plane than I guess a lot of people acknowledge them to be. Personally, I find it amazing when the most unassuming animals show curiosity and they show fear and interest and what's going on. Digressing, I was in my living room one time. I have a terrible fear of flying bugs. It's just the thing. I was in my living room and there was a ladybug that came out onto my living room table. And so I'm like, oh, what is that? And so my husband is sitting next to me and he says, oh, look, it's a ladybug. So he gets really close to it to look at it. And the ladybug scurries away under the napkin that's sitting there. And it's just, we just looked at each other like it just got scared. And she was so scared. It was so scared. And it was so cute because it was such a real reaction. So that's what I'm expecting out of this. Real octopuses, octopi with real reactions. As unrealistic as that sounds, that's what I'm expecting. And I'm really looking forward to this book. And I don't always pick up nonfiction books. I'm sorry. And the writer is Sy Montgomery. I'm a terrible, terrible person. But I'm really looking forward to it. And the cover just looks really cool. And there's other books too. So if I really like this one, I'll probably get another one. And the last one that I got at Book People is Claudius the God. It is the sequel to I, Claudius, which I already had because I have too many books and I don't remember all of them. So this is the second part of the account of Tiberius Claudius, the cripple, the stammerer, the fool of the family, who became emperor of Rome in 41 AD. Yep, historical fiction all over it. It feels cool, has an impressive cover. So I'm really interested. And I already had the first book, so I'm like, I just need to buy the second one, obviously. So, those are all the books from Book People. And now, because the last batch, we are moving on to the books that I purchased at Barnes & Noble. Because it was my birthday, and I spoil myself on my birthday month. And I will probably regret this later when I can't pay the bills. But, you know, it is what it is. Books are worth it. So, as everybody can probably guess, I'm a big Edgar Allan Poe fan. He is my beloved Eddie, and he is my idol, and I read everything of his because he's brilliant. So, Edgar Allan Poe, The Strange Man Standing Deep in the Shadows by Charlotte Montague. I saw it, and I'm just like, bargain price. This is a no-brainer. It's really cool, illustrated too. Has a really awesome layout. So I'm really excited. It smells really good. And I don't know what it is, but it's a story about Edgar Allan Poe, his life, his works, and I just had to buy it. So I'm excited for this one. And then, so right now I'm torn between these two and these two. These are going to take a little longer. So I don't do YA most of the time. I don't do middle grade fiction. I don't do kid fiction. But these two books, I still remember when I read them for the first time. 6th grade, during the year, summer between 6th and 7th grade. This one I read for class. This one I read as a summer reading project because I was in advanced English. Because of course I was. So, Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Bobbitt. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. This was the book that first introduced me to a sad love story. And obviously it had quite an impact because I'm all about tragic love stories. Like, man, it doesn't work well together and my heart cries and I love crying and wallowing and suffering and I suffer with joy because I'm a terrible person. But this is the first one that did that. And I'm sure everybody knows how it ends. But it also brought into question my current obsession. This was like the intro to it. About everlasting life and the idea of living forever, you know? And it just fascinated me and it's impacted me so much that to this day, when I think about one of those love stories, this is what I think about. I think about the movie, I think about the ending, and I put myself in Winnie's shoes. And I ask myself, what would I do? So this book really impacted me. And I had to buy it because when I saw it, I was in 6th grade again, and I was watching the ending and reading the ending, and I'm just like, and that was just I think my first real step into coming of age in my own as far as reading. Really, really influential book that I had to get. So now you know the books that shaped me to be this crazy person. The other book is Out of the Dust by Karen Hurst, I believe. It's covered. Karen Hess. Karen Hess. This book was probably the introduction to truly heartbreaking, tragic, depressing books. And I read it over the summer between 6th and 7th grade. I believe. I'm almost positive. And the story is about Billy Joe and a terrible accident. And one of the parts that sticks out to me is where she's climbing a tree during a plague, I believe. And her hands are raw. And the wood is going into her hands. But she's climbing the tree. And she's trying to swat away the bugs. And she wants to save the tree. But she can't. And she falls out of the tree. And that has permanently been burned into my heart. I don't remember most of it. I can't wait to reread this. I don't know what really happened after that. I don't know what happened before it. But that moment with that tree, I remember reading it. I was on a car ride between my hometown and Del Rio, I believe. Somewhere. I was just going somewhere and I was in the car. And I looked up and I looked out my window. And I was shocked that the world kept turning because in my mind, my hands were bleeding and aching, and I was trying to swat the bugs away. And this is one of the first books that really took over me without my even knowing it, without my consent. And it was a lovely, beautiful feeling. So this book was one of the first ones that did that. Out of the Dust by Karen Hess. Moving on. Good book. Moving on to the books that are currently consuming my life. Okay, I don't do series. They're too long. I don't know why. I just prefer not to read series. So I purposely avoid them. I will take trilogies. I'm like, hey, I'm good. I will go for it. It's a trilogy, 3 books. I can do this. The Last Kingdom. I watched the first season on Netflix a year or 2 ago. So I saw that it was a book. I'm just like, hey, I know this. It's a series. So I'm like, okay, I know how the first season ended. It's probably going to be a trilogy. I can take it. Maybe 4 books. I'll take that too. So check out my audiobook, unassumingly, on my public library. And after further researching, realize it's a 10-part book series with a potential for an 11th. Yeah. And I just sat there like, what have I done? Like, well, Torty, you're way too deep to go back. So now, my first series ever is a 10-part book series. But this book is amazing. Uhtred, however you want to call him, is brilliant. Yeah, he's a brute. Yeah, he's all about, like, I'm going to be a warrior. I'm going to be great. But he's motivated by very raw emotions that I think we can all relate to. The idea that I want to go back to my home. I want to go be the elderman in my town that I grew up with, that should have been mine, that was taken from me. And the idea of going back to your roots and never forgetting your roots, no matter where you are. And really developing as a person and taking the conflicting life lessons that everybody is giving you. And I think it's great. And we see Uhtred. And he doesn't die because on book 10 he's about to go, besiege Bebbanburg. So the Last Kingdom is the first book. The Pale Horseman is the second. I did both audiobooks and I had to purchase the 2 books, which I did for my birthday. And I cannot wait to tab the heck out of these because the cast kills me. Ragnar is just brilliant in this book. Ragnar the Younger in both books. The relationship between Uhtred and Ragnar and Uhtred and Uhtred and Leofric and Uhtred and Alfred and Iseult. oh my gosh, Isael, and just all of the relationships that they have and the historicalism. These books are so historical. I think I've never learned more about Viking history in my life, and these are fairly accurate. And it's brilliant, and I have an appreciation of their culture, their religion, and we see King Alfred. King Alfred, by the way, man, he's a complicated one. I love him. I hate him. I wonder what the hell you're doing. But Uhtred's there, and Uhtred's defending his, useless bum. And Alfred doesn't really know what the heck is going on. And Uhtred's like, what are you doing? Go away. Like, Leofric, let's go. Someone take Alfred, the priest, take him away. And it's just very real. And Uhtred doesn't like Alfred all the time. And Uhtred's not a likable character all the time. There are times that I'm just like, what are you doing? But point is, anyways, they're flawed and lovely. And I will post a book review. Sorry for going on a tangent. But yeah, these 2 books. Whew. So that is my book haul for July. I think the only 2 books that I didn't buy in July were Victoria, Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, and Crow with No Mouth. So, busy month. My next video is going to be a summer wrap-up because I think I should also cover June, like what I read and did not read in June. My next book review is going to be Arcadia Falls by Carol Goodman, I believe her name was. And I'm really excited. Hopefully you guys are too. And I'm sorry that this video was so long, but I'm really excited about all these books that I bought. And all the ones at half price were on sale. So I'm like, yes, sales! Because it's great! So, thank you guys for stopping by. I hope my video wasn't too boring and dragged on too much. Be safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!